welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Gamewreckers and Slobberknockers. Today with us is Coach Mike Jones from North Central High School in South Carolina. Coach, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate you being on here. Coach, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where have you coached? Where have you been? Kind of playing experiences, anything like that?
Yeah, like Coach said, I coach at North Central High School. That is where I'm from. I graduated there in 2006, played football in high school, actually played baseball and college golf when I went to college, and then did some things outside of sports for a few years outside of college. Got into teaching and coaching about 4 years ago. Got an opportunity to go back to my alma mater at North Central. They had gotten a new coach. He was coming in, talked to him, come in as a volunteer, and earned an opportunity to be on their full staff, and I've been with them for 4 years now. So on the defensive side of the ball, got special teams coordinator and linebackers coach. We run 3-4, and I coach both inside and outside linebackers. And been with them, been building the program since we've been back, and take a lot of pride since it's an alma mater. Take a lot of pride in seeing them do well and growing.
That's awesome. All right, so I got to be honest with you. You played baseball and golf in college?
Yeah, I played. I was the first one of the first baseball players from North Central to get a scholarship, go play college baseball. Ended up transferring over, playing a little golf. I didn't pick up golf until I got to college. Played college golf for about 2.5 years, and then tried to play professional golf for about 2.5, 3 years. Traveled around here in South Carolina playing mini tour golf, developmental tours, just trying to do it, but with only 5 or 6 years of experience. So it was really a tough deal, but learned a lot. Of patience. Learned a lot of different things that I think has helped me with coaching and how to deal with certain situations. Being a special teams coordinator is kind of helpful. I can talk to kickers and be like, I understand when all the eyes are on you.
It's swing mechanics, mechanics, whether it's with your leg or your club, it's swing mechanics.
Exactly. So I'm able to talk to them and relate a little bit more maybe to them than somebody who doesn't have that experience. So.
No, well, I can tell you this: don't ever worry about having to see me out on the golf course because I'm terrible at it. Of course, when you only do it once or twice a year for charity outings or whatever, I crack myself up. I'm like, I actually have the nerve to get mad at myself when I play terrible. I'm like, why are you getting mad? You had to dust the clubs off out of the garage to get them out. But that's awesome. I think that teaching patience, especially, golf will make you learn patience. So. Okay, so I coached in the 3-4 defense for the past 4 years, but I only coached inside linebackers. How did you go about coaching inside and outside?
Yeah, so 4 years ago, spring practice, I had talked to the head coach. He got the job probably January, February. We knew of him. He's coming back. He's really our only NFL player we ever had from North Central. He's coming back. He's coming back to be the head coach, and went and talked to him and just said, hey, I had a job, and I was like, hey, I'd like to, just volunteer. I wanted to get into coaching. I'd been told I have a family member that was like, hey, you need to get into coaching and it would be good for you. So I was going to volunteer. I really had some experience as a strong safety outside linebacker playing. I was a quarterback as well. And he was like, I want you to help with linebackers. And so I'm like, okay. I had a linebacker coach at the time. And so it was we transitioned to a 3-4. So it was like taking on all of those. It wasn't like we didn't denote inside and outside. We just said linebacker coach. So that first year, me and this other coach, we tackled it together. And then he retired, and it just kind of fell on me where I was just the linebacker coach. And with that was inside and outside. So it's difficult as I've grown and as we have grown as a staff and as a team putting in the 3-4. It's been difficult because it's obviously different, right? Inside's
right.
Totally different from outside and that overhang type player. And so, it's just, I work them all, but I fortunately have another coach that can kind of help with it. I give him a practice plan, like, hey, go do this for 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. I'm going to work with these guys. and then I'm going to get you working on these guys. And we just kind of can split it that way, but it kind of
Right.
all flows through me. So they all look to me as far as where to go, game planning, and so forth.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that we ended up doing is we kind of mini grouped up a little bit, the outside linebacker coach and myself. We would mini group up, and, you know, we would take either the whole group and try to do something, or I would take like the left side guys and he'd take the right side guys, and we'd just work, you know, different drills together. But, you know, like for me, and maybe it's because I'm so old, I'm like, I want my guys, and, you know, I'm very regimented in like my individual is going to be this, this, and this. And if we get to other things, great. But I know what my guys got to get ready. If we play Beaver Creek week 1, which is one of our big rivals. It's week 1 and week 10 for us are big rivalry weeks. So week 1, I know we got to get ready for Beaver Creek. I'm going to know exactly what those inside guys have to get ready to do. But for me, and it sounds like you're doing it. You're just doing it in a different manner, and you got a guy there to help you out. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Coach, what other influences have you had on your coaching philosophy? And you know, other than, you know, playing and obviously the golf, baseball thing, what other things have influenced you in your coaching philosophy?
Well, like I mentioned, I had some family. My wife's her great uncle, he's a Hall of Fame basketball coach here in South Carolina. And just talking to him, talking about how to handle kids and like, you know, what he did and how he was able to, you know, communicate, you know, even whenever he was coaching a long time ago, you know, they may only had 15 or 16 football players. He was a big basketball coach, obviously. So he might only have 7 or 8 basketball players. So he's got to teach them all, like, hey, look, you might have to play different sports. So communication was key, like him kind of telling me those stories and how important it was for him to communicate. So that was a big influence. As far as just looking at coaches now, I mean, I just kind of picked from different people. You know, being a 3-4 guy, I look at Dave Aranda, you know, just look at what he does at LSU, and now, you know, and how successful he was, and then looking at what he's doing at Baylor. Being here in South Carolina, I got Brent Venables, maybe one of the best DCs.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
And what he's able to do, I mean, he might, I don't know what he would tell you, but, you know, 4-3 kind of guy. I mean, 4 down linemen typically. They go on the run a couple years ago. They're in a 3-4 package because of defensive linemen. And he's able to make adjustments. And, you know, at that level, that kind of guy can sit there and go, my system's not, what I do is not going to work for my personnel. You know, let me look and see what I can do to get better or to put these guys in a position to be successful. So, you know, looking at that, I mean, that's kind of, you know, that's a big thing. And then my current DC, you know, he's been a big help. I played for him whenever I was at North Central. He was coming back the same time I was kind of coming in, and he's kind of helped me grow, put a lot of stuff on my plate. You know, being a small school, and then our staff, you know, me and him have been been able to kind of bounce a lot of ideas off each other. He puts a lot of stuff on my plate to be able to take responsibility for. And whether that's coaching linebackers, he lets me coach, he lets me do. I may run some stuff by him, but he's like, yep, it sounds good, and just lets me go. If it's a mistake, we fix it. If it's right, we just keep going, you know. So he's been a big influence on me as far as giving me a lot of responsibility, teaching me to be gap-to-gap sound, and, you know, play ball, play fast, keep it simple. That kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you said something earlier, and I think this has got to be an influence on you guys on how much you can get done. Spring practice. What's it like to have spring ball?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it kind of gets our kids. Our school is like 505 total students, so a lot of our students play 3 sports, are playing multiple sports, but we don't really get them that much. So spring ball is a great chance to kind of get their mind thinking about football, the returners to kind of get them back thinking about calls, what we're doing. Being our 4th year, it's nice because they know a lot of the stuff that we're doing. They're trying to put in. It's bringing those new kids over from our middle school or across the road, bringing them on, try to make them feel included, try to make them feel a part of it, evaluate those kids. Hey, I know what you played in middle school, but let's maybe think about where you might fit as you grow. You know, you're 14 years old, 14, 15 years old, and you're, you know, a bigger kid, might not be a stand-up outside linebacker. You know what I mean? Like, let's communicate with that. But it's good. I mean, just to get going again, you know, start thinking about it, start getting people in, not really in shape, but just in that moment, in that mood, in that.
Right. You got to
Right.
have that mental mindset for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when do you guys do it? When do you do spring ball for you guys?
So typically, you know, without COVID and all that stuff, it starts May 1st. You usually there's 20 available days, and you get 15 days in or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, so it's usually the month of May, and we get 12 to 15 days in. We do, like I said, we get our middle school, we get our rising ninth graders can come up, they can be involved. We can put pads on after so many days of acclimation, but except for the ninth graders. The ninth graders can only have helmets because they're not officially out of middle school.
Right.
But our older kids can. So, you know, that first year, I'm fired up, you know, and we're getting pads on, and you just want to see who can hit. And so that was kind of a thing, you know, who's going to, you know, you get some new kids out there. Are they physical kids, or are they, you know, a little timid, you know, that sort of thing. So that kind of helps kind of weed some stuff as we get ready to go into the summer. And then we start talking about really position group, really working that stuff, you know, and really kind of putting people in place where we think they can help us.
No, that's as okay. So this is what we're supposed to talk about. We may get to, but because now you didn't brought up spring ball, and I'm jealous. We don't have it here in Ohio for a number of reasons. When are your state like baseball and track championships?
Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, again, typical year is kind of that second, third week of May. So some of those kids will miss.
Right. You may not get them, but you still have all those other kids, right?
We still have everybody else. We can still have everybody who's not involved in other sports. And so it's usually that second, third week. See, like here, a typical year, we're graduating end of May. So, so our graduation.
That's when we'll graduate. We'll graduate the end of May.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so we'll graduate that. So, you know, typically they have all that stuff taken care of first, second week of May. I'm assuming, you know, I guess, you know,
that's amazing.
And so this year's a little bit different. You know, obviously we got delayed, and so we're going back, and we're in school, so it's a little bit different for us. And I think it's June 13th, 14th, something like that.
Okay. Well, you know, so we've tried to have the conversation about spring football in Ohio, but it is never – I honestly believe we're never going to get true spring football. We're talking about maybe evaluation days, because our state championships aren't usually until the first week in June or the second week in June. That's because we can't start – like I'm the head boys lacrosse coach, and our first lacrosse match is like March 23rd or something this year. I guarantee you we're going to have, you know, be bundled up because we can't, you know, it's cold. And baseball, if you're rain, track, you know, if it's too cold, all those things. So you guys got the best of all down there. You got a little spring ball, and so that's awesome. I can't imagine. So what is your summer schedule like? So spring ball ends after your 20 days. What do you do June and July? Yeah,
so June and July is kind of a I'm not gonna say a free for all, but we typically work out in the mornings 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12, and it's not all weight room stuff. We made some changes this year due to COVID and the restrictions that we had.
Right.
Only having so many groups, so we had weight room time, we had agility time, but then we had like individual time. And for the first couple weeks of that was on the board in the classroom teaching, just like, you know, that is in itself, I thought was the best part of the summer. I mean, of course we got to get in the weight room. Of course we got to get bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic, but being able to sit down and teach to our kids about football and about why we do certain things. And, you know, our slogan is trust in us, and it's all about trusting in the person beside you. You know, do your job, I'll do my job. We'll be successful. And, you know, so we can do that. We do that Monday through Thursday. Typically our last week of July is a dead week. So it's usually when we do our coaches clinics and stuff like that. And then August 1st, we get going, rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I don't know. We may end up with that free for all this year because in Ohio, you are allowed from June 1 to July 31, 10 days to do sports specific things. You can lift all you want.
Right.
Lift all you want. Do all the agility you want. But you're only allowed to have a football and do sports specific drill 10 days.
Y'all play 7-on-7?
We do 7-on-7, but once you do it, it's one of those days.
Okay.
And so, we have guys trying to get around that rule like, well, 10 days is 24 hours a day. It's 240 hours. State says no. Once you start, whether it's a half hour or 24 hours, a day is a day.
Wow.
So, we would get creative and we'd have a camp day in the morning and then, send the kids home and then come back that night for 7-on-7. That way we use just one day, even though we did two different things. But yeah, it's not nowhere near what you guys do. But now they're talking about maybe getting rid of that rule for us. And I'm like, it is going to be a complete circus if they get rid of the, hey, no 10-day rule, guys, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, that's that would be a totally different, I'm always interested to see how other states are doing it. And, the more I read, the more I find South Carolina has a pretty liberal rule about being able to kind of go and practice and put stuff in,
No, we are on lockdown. It's just clamped up. And, I teach at a school, coach at a school where we got a lot of kids that play 3 sports, at least 2 sports. I think our basketball team's playing right now. They have maybe their starting 5, maybe 2 of the starting 5 only play basketball. They don't do any other sport. But, numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all multi-sport athletes. So
right.
I get it. And, that's one of those things they're worried about. Well, if you have spring football in Ohio, you're going to kill track and baseball. I said, no, we won't. And I told them, I said, here's how you do it. Almost everybody's out of track by the regional track meet, which is like the third week of May or second or third week of May in there. I'm like, as soon as that, or the district, most of them are out of districts. I said, as soon as district is done, I said, tell everybody there's like 15 days left in May. I said, give us 10 of those days. Mm-hmm. I said, baseball's almost done anyway. Cause they, those teams, either you're good or you're not and you're in or out. Cool. All right. Well, now that you threw me off track, we were rolling, right, Coach, and I don't care because I love talking ball, but let's talk about run fits.
Sure.
So how do you coach up your run fits?
Yeah. So, we typically, we're 3-4. We like to be gap to gap sound and our linebackers fit off of our front call. So we make a front call and then we'll fit off of that. They'll have a pre-snap gap that they have to fill in. And then, they have to read what they see. We work a lot of that and then, but we fit off of that. Now, being 3-4, my outside backers are if it's a fast flow play and my outside backer is a C gap guy, right? I'm slanting and I'm bringing him into the C gap. His job is to get to the C gap. We try to work wrong arming and spilling it into and letting that gap replacement or that gap exchange with the inside backer. And then I got corner help or I got a safety rolling down to kind of help as well. That's for fast flow stuff. Inside the box, though, I guess I'm trying to box it a little bit with the inside backers. Hit the outside shoulder of the guard that you are attacking. Make him cut it back to the cutback guy. Don't let him get into the seam. Essentially, So
right, no, because I think that's a great thing because that's what I do with my inside linebackers. Is I teach them your inside shoulder on their outside shoulder because that safety is really fitting off the outside linebacker. Mm-hmm. So if the outside linebacker comes underneath and that safety goes outside, there's a crease there that there is nobody there for a while, and you got to not stop it. So you got to make sure your arm is free.
Yeah, that was kind of hard for my kids to understand when we got there and really started trying to put it in because I wouldn't say you're asking them to do 2 different things, but if it's fast flow, they're a back hip tracker or they're some people refer to as a butt side guy they're chasing, right?
Right.
Even if they're the play side inside backer and they're scraping, they're a backside guy. They're looking in the backside hip for a cutback or whatever. You trust whoever's outside to stop him or make him cut it back. But if you're in the box and you get a down block and a pull coming to you, you've got to attack the outside shoulder of that puller, or where that guard blocked down from, where his outside shoulder was. You've got to attack there because you want him to cut it back into the help. If you don't and you go inside, it just creates that, instead of it being a kick, they just wall you, and it's, it's a big play. That was kind of hard for my kids to understand when we first got there, first teaching it. This is what you got to do. They all think, well, I just got to go to the ball, and they get it caught inside, walled off, and it's 12 yards, and you're like, get them on the ground, get them on the ground, get them on the ground,
Mm-hmm. And I think they've got to see themselves do it right. And then they got to then put it with something where they did it wrong. And they're like, hey, look, do you see the difference in these two pictures?
Yeah.
This is when you're, and then they're like, oh yeah, now it makes sense. Especially if you can get it against the same look, you don't want them to do it one time against, an ISO block and one time against, a zone block, and where it's different. Like if you can find the two ISO blocks, them one right, one wrong, man, It makes your life a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you defend, how do you coach your run fits up against zone plays? Do you break it down where I'll go with the inside zone read, right? Okay. So everybody's got that mobile quarterback now. They're reading probably your outside linebacker, right? Are they reading your outside linebacker at all mainly when you get that? Or what we got this year is we got people reading our 4 technique. And I was like, I wanted to punch somebody. Okay, that kid doesn't have a good read because they're taking the tackle and blocking our outside linebacker. Yeah. And then they're letting that our 4 technique chase the dive, the zone, and the quarterback runs up inside of him.
Yeah, we typically see the 4 technique. We don't see a whole lot of outside backer stuff. Like I said, we'll slant, or we'll have our 4 technique will be a C-gap guy, so typically they'll read off of him. So when I say he's a C-gap guy, he's attacking outside shoulder of the tackle blocks down, or he's, maybe gets you, if he gets a veer release, like that veer release where he steps out, he's going to get his hands on him. So it's going to be hard for him to read that 4 anyway. Usually whenever they're trying to read us, they'll step inside and try to climb to the inside backer.
Uh-huh.
How I work it is, when we start installing and looking at it, and I know we're going to get zone teams. It's not every week or anything, but I know we're going to get them. So I start talking about, what do you see in the backfield? And that's not our keys or anything, but I see quarterback and back. And I say, okay, if you get quarterback and back and we're in a week where we get zone read, or we get a look in where the back crosses the face of the quarterback, the inside backer away from the back is now play side. He's got to think pre-snap, I might be a play side guy in zone. All right. I have to go stop the zone. My job is to go fill it. You're going to get zone kind of moving that way. You got to go fill the gaps. If you wait on it, zone's going to open up. You got to plug the holes. If I'm the backside guy, my responsibility is the quarterback. So I don't ever cross that quarterback's face. Slow to go. You hear slow to go, or you hear, everybody's got their own terminology. And as long as you and your kids are on the same page, it doesn't matter what you say. But Ours is slow to go. So slow to go. You're reading it. You're seeing what you got. You're seeing if the linemen are climbing, if they're not. But you're responsible for the quarterback. And you just have to make it one-on-one. It really becomes 2-on-1 because I got the outside linebacker. If I got a C-gap guy with my tackle and he squeezes that down, right? Or if he stands out there and they're like, oh, I can just keep the quarterback's like, oh, I can keep it. I got inside linebacker help and outside linebacker help on that, both of them. But if I can't get that kid to flow too far, that makes sense. I mean,
no, absolutely, because that's what we had a problem with all the time, and how we would play with our outside linebacker. I think it's one reason why people started reading our 4 is because they knew if our outside linebacker was standing near the line of scrimmage, that 4 technique was going to come down and crash because the outside linebacker had to see, and people just started taking their tackle and blocking out on him. They're blocking out on the outside linebacker and then running the quarterback inside of him.
Yeah.
Hey, so one of the other things that you talked about knowing the backfield. Do you teach your 4 techniques? The depth of the back matters. Like if he's gun deep, gun even, or gun up? Do you teach your kids the difference in those threes and what they mean?
I don't teach we don't necessarily tell the defensive linemen that. But linebackers, I give all the information I can give. It might be too much, but they'll sort through it. I feel like if I don't give them enough information, they're going to get there and they're going to be like, what? So we talk about it. If he's deep, what are we looking for, right? We can look for what we call G-wrap or kick, or trap.
Mm-hmm.
If he's even, you might get more of that inside run. If he's up, we might get quarterback lead.
Right.
You just don't ever know, right? So we talk about it, and I constantly give them information. Hey, look. My outside backers are better at looking and finding it than my inside backers, because my inside backers are, they got linemen in front of them and all that stuff.
Right.
They're responsible for a lot of calls. So I make my outside linebackers really be responsible for it. And yeah, they can kind of start clicking and they start seeing it. And, but yeah, I do discuss it, but it's not like something that I'm, hanging my hat on.
Right. No, I think you're right. Give those kids, and we really harped on our outside linebackers to make sure, because we felt like they were the guys who could see if it was gun deep, gun even, gun up. Like, hey, you can see it, you better tell us, because we have to know that, because at least the guys we faced, that told us everything. We knew if it was gun deep, it was the zone read package, it was the power read. Well, no, gun even was power read. Like, hey, they're going to run power, and it's, it is what it is. And gun up for us was like what you're talking about, ISO, quarterback ISO, or for us, guys were just saying, hey, we're going to pass, and this kid's going to be here so he can be a little quicker to help, stave off.
Yeah. We do all that stuff. I'm a big film guy, and I do a lot on huddle and do a lot of breakdown. And so when it comes to Friday, and I'm in the box too, so I do a lot of. On the box, I got a big chart. I actually got one of my charts over there. It's got all the stuff on it that I keep and I'm looking at while I'm in the box. So I'm a big believer in all that stuff.
You ever been on the field?
I was on the field my first year. We were having. I told you we had another linebacker coach. We tried him out in the box. He didn't really care for it. Our DC went up there for the remaining of the year, and then in the off season he was like, "You're going in the box." And so I've been there the last 3 years.
I was on the field for a long time, and the last 4 years I've been in the box. I said, I don't know if I'll ever go back down on the field, for one reason. I'm less emotional about things upstairs.
Really?
Like I now for me, it is really the chart and, hey, this is what we're seeing. Whereas, when Tommy blows his read for the third straight play, I'm like, what are you doing? You got to do, we've done this all week.
Yeah.
We're upstairs. I'm like, hey, can you remind Tommy to not miss his read again?
Right.
I've taken the emotional part of the game out of it, and now it really is, I was, you talked about we talked about Coach Venables earlier. Hey, you see him. That is what a DC's got to be, man. Like he's on the
fired
juice.
Up. I'm fired up. I'm juiced. If you being a I don't know, being maybe a little bit younger on the staff and stuff, I'm fired up, and I don't know if my emotions necessarily go down when I'm in the box, because I'm a little, I'm like, how does and my DC will he'll tell me like I need to quit screaming at him, because I'm yelling at him like, tell him to do this or tell him to do that, or we got to do this, so yeah, it gets going, but I like that I can sit there. I've gone down a couple times, like late in games and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really care for this, man. This is, I can see so much. I can make so many. I can look at so much stuff going on in the play from the box that I can't see.
And the one place where it helps me see is the other side.
Yeah.
We play on a turf field, so there's no crown. But early in my coaching career, when grass was it, there were some serious crowns, and like you couldn't see over on the other side. So I'm like, man, I'm upstairs. I enjoy it so much more now. So that's awesome. Okay.
Hold on. Do you stand or sit though?
Yes, the answer to that. Yes is the answer to that. I may start sitting, but it's not long. I kick the stool out of the way, and I gotta, I pace. So, and it also depends on where we're at. Some of these places we go, ooh.
Yeah, I have a chair up there, and depends on how the game's going. I usually start with standing up, and then I'll have a seat, maybe jot some stuff on my chart, and then I'm standing back up. Being a special teams coordinator, I got to kind of stay in
right.
involved anyway. So
hey, the fact you're a special teams coordinator and you're upstairs is amazing because a lot of guys don't like for that job.
It's
like,
hard.
You got to have those guys together, like punt team, and you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 8. I'm supposed to have 9. Where's Joey?
Yeah, I have a chart for that. I got the guy that works for me with linebackers. I give him a chart, and I give it also to like 3 or 4 more of the coaches. Right. And I'm like, here, this is my backups. These are who I want going. Communicate with me so I can. Yeah. So yeah, that's a totally different deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So how do you deal with like the counter plays? Like how do you run fit counter plays? Are your guys like interior guys? Like, is your 4 technique going to spill it? Is he going to box it, or we call it? We call it Denton. So.
Yeah, it depends on. I don't like boxing. I don't like boxing with the tackle. Put it that way. I don't like boxing with the C gap guy. Okay, so depends on the tackle. The tackle is if he's responsible for the B gap. If he gets like he's getting down blocked for the counter, whether it's counter tray or he gets H counter, he's got to get wide, get his foot in the ground, get wide, set his anchor, and my outside backer is the C gap responsible guy. He's to wrong arm the kick. He's to wrong arm the guy, get into the gap, get into the hole that they want to run it, and spill it to, the outside so that my inside backers can scrape to daylight, can keep going. Depending on which way, if they're going into the boundary, I should have a corner because we should be in like a cover 2 look maybe. If it's into the field, I should be rolling my safety down, and he should be now the contained man.
Right.
However you want to kind of just talk about it.
That sounds legit. Okay. Now the other 2 are 2 offenses. Depending on who you talk to, some people say they're different offenses. I think they're more alike than what both sides want to say. So the wing T and a triple option offense. How do you run fit those 2?
All right. So we've seen some wing T, and again based on the call, like if our nose fits off of, he's usually trying to fight a double team. He tries to field the double team. So like it might be different for like buck sweep or something, but because he might get 1-on-1 and he just got to go off the ball typically. But for our tackles, if they're a big gap guy, they got to get into the big gap, so they should take away any kind of guard trap. They're getting flat down the line. Right. They shouldn't get kicked. Our thing is being gap sound and building a wall and spilling it. So, we're looking at trying to be, read your tackles, or read your guards. If you're a big gap guy, you're reading that guard. If he's going down, I'm flat and going down, getting my hands on him, right? Try not to get upfield so I don't get kicked in like a guard trap situation. And, my inside backers are really fitting off of that. We do cloud and clear. So if it's kind of cloudy in there, I'm slow, I'm feeling it, but I'm not racing up in there and getting caught in the trash,
Right.
and so it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, a little bit, but it depends on the call, depends on what they're responsible for, and then they go off of their reads, right? If they get a pull read and they get 2 downs, I'm feeling it. My backside guy, he's still not chasing, my backside inside backer is not chasing. He's still slow to go, looking for cutback, because if it's an inside run play, my inside backer should be attacking that outside shoulder, cutting it back to him. And then my outside backer is, if he's not a C-gap guy, he's a boot counter reverse player is what we call him. He's a slow to go, he's shuffling, boot counter reverse, never passes the offensive tackle, and he gets that double handoff, or scissors double handoff deal, or the we call it Sally, where he kind of like fakes the toss sweep to the motion guy and they come back underneath, something like that. That's his responsibility. So we're trying to fit it that way. With our with that triple option look, same thing. Nose is going to play the double team. right? He's gonna fill the double team. He's gonna try to fit the double team on the dive. The tackle is going to go off the call, but most of the time he's probably going to be going into the B gap. He's responsible for the dive. The pitch man is going to be the outside backer, and we're scraping with the inside backer off of the tackle's butt to the quarterback, and we're just fitting it that way. That's kind of what we've always done. We also roll and fit with our safeties, so our safeties will be rolling down. Typically, we look like a too high team. We see the motion, we might roll down, bring that other safety down into the box. He's also a pitch man too, so we should cover the pitch man up, and then we can kind of collapse on the quarterback. Depends on who the best runner is too, by the way. I mean,
right, yeah. Who are they really trying to get the ball to?
Yeah, if they want the quarterback to keep it, we might more on that quarterback with our outside backer and leave the pitch man for the safety, or we might. It just depends. If they're trying to just pitch it off, get it quick, then we'll just send our outside backer to that guy. You know what I mean? So it's game planned. We're looking at it, but we're trying to fit everything off. Our tackles are going to have a gap. They got to be responsible for that gap. Then our inside backers are going to make them right with, if it's cloudy, they're not supposed to run up in there. Of course they do, but they're not supposed to run up in there. They fit off of it, You had that slow to go inside backer. You got you fit off of the outside backer and so forth. So, we try to keep it simple. We're not trying to do a whole lot of things up front to where it's like, well, what do I do this play or what do I do that play? No,
right.
It's you got a B gap. You play the B gap. Get big in the B gap. Our nose, fight the double team. Pile it up. If you can push him back, great. Let's go play ball.
Now, do your inside linebackers read guards more times than anything else?
Yeah, I start off with guards. Spring ball, start off with guards. Into the summer, I will introduce the back. So we're guard the nearest back. We see a lot of what we call an H back or a sniffer, and so that will replace your guard read if he's to your side. So if you're lined up in the guard, then there's an H to your side, we might key that H more, week to week, because in teams we play, they use the H as kind of an extra puller. They may run H counter a lot of times where you'll get the guard pull and then the H is supposed to wrap, or the H will be the ISO guy, and they'll just they'll split it and they'll run that ISO right back up to the inside backer. So so it just kind of depends on, it's game planned again, but yeah, we're typically a guard reading team, base right out of it, and then introduce the back as we get into the summer and to camp.
What about your outside linebackers? What are they reading?
Their tackle reads. These guys are tackle to nearest back. Our league, our region is a run heavy region. We'll see some passing, but they're reading the tackles, and they just have to be really good at deciphering if it's a down or a reach, those type of things, and then where they fit in to the call. So if they're a C gap guy, we play them in the apex, and so they're looking in the tackle. They're looking at the tackle blocks down. I'm a C gap guy. I got to get down into the C gap. Again, I said earlier, our inside backers are supposed to make it right with filling and fitting and that sort of thing. But honestly, if everything works right, that inside backer scraping over top, and that outside backer is really kind of fitting into the C gap, spilling everything. So
what's hard, I think, after coaching just the inside linebackers is when that outside linebacker isn't consistent about what he does. If he's always wrong arming it and he never misses a wrong arm, my guy scrape over top every time. But the problem is the one time he doesn't get it wrong armed and my guy has scraped over top, just created another seam for the offense to run vertical on, and now your run fit is not it's not sound. It's not disciplined.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you start creating gaps and space. I tell my guys, they'll hear it 1,000 times. We got to take the space out of it. Take the space out of the offense. If you create space, then they got seams. They got to cut back. They got to take the space out of it. And I yell it all the time. I'm always, I'm that coach that I don't let you mess up 4 or 5 times and say, "Come here, little Johnny, let me talk to you." You know why they kept running that play at you? No, I'm like every snap in practice. We do team. I'm like, that's good. That's bad. You know why that's bad? Yes. Okay. So we're moving on. Like it's, again, some people may not like it, but I like giving them information. I was the type of player, I'm a type of person that I need information. I need, like, is that good? Is that bad? Because once they start knowing it's good, they can build confidence. When they build confidence, they play fast. If they're not, if they're sitting there going, was that good or bad? They might have made a play or they might have missed a play. Was it good or bad? If I tell them it was good, even though the play might not have worked the way we wanted it to, we might not have fitted it perfect, but he did his job. He builds confidence. All right, I'm going to do my job. And everybody else knows he's going to do his job. And then I just do it for all of them. Hey, you're doing your job. It's somebody else's problem. Do your job. Somebody else's problem. If everybody does their job, we're going to play well.
Awesome, Coach. Well, that's what's good is some of the stuff I've done. I hear you're doing it. I picked up a couple things that you've talked about, and I tell you what, you guys definitely have it working down there. No wonder you guys won your first regional championship in 28 years this year. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, Coach. So it's that time of the show. We're going to talk about Gamewreckers and Slobberknockers. Okay. So who's the best Gamewrecker you've either coached or played with?
The best Gamewrecker is a kid that just graduated for us. He's been in the program for 3 years. He was an outside linebacker his first year. We moved him inside, put him back outside this year, and people just didn't want to run to him. I mean, they game planned for him. So it was good for us because we knew, hey, they weren't going to run at him. We were going to run away from him, So, I mean, he was just a guy that they had to account for when he was on the field. He was sound. He knew where he was supposed to go. And it was nice. He's going to be graduating. So it's a big void for us as we move forward, but we got some young kids ready to kind of step up and take charge of the situation. But yeah, that was probably our biggest Gamewrecker I've seen, been part of, kind of deal.
Did they try to formation him? Did they
yes.
try? Oh yeah. And then one of the things we did, we've had those guys. We've been blessed to have our outside linebackers for the 4 years here have been just freakish. They're all 6'2" to 6'4", 210 to 230 pounds, just jumping off the charts. And people were start formation them. Mm-hmm. And the one of the best things we did was we said, hey, this next series, this time, John Zell, don't go to the tight end. Go away from the tight end. And the quarterback stood there and was like, we're supposed to run over there. That guy standing over there. I don't want to get hit by that guy.
Yeah. That was probably, that's, that's, it was a good special player, a kid that we just, we hung our hat on. We knew we could just kind of hang our hat on that he was going to be in the right place. And when he got an opportunity, he was going to make a play for us. So.
Absolutely. Okay, Coach. Slobberknocker, biggest hit you've seen as a player or coach?
Biggest hit, I was involved in a pretty big hit one time. We were playing when I was playing, I was a quarterback, and wasn't really a running quarterback or anything, but tried to get out and do a little something. And we were playing the number 1 team in the state, had a couple kids, D1 guys and stuff. And I got out there and didn't throw the ball away, didn't throw it away or anything. Was running to the sideline and got hit so hard that it broke the plastic. We had the older helmets, right? So broke that and bent the face mask, on a tackle. So that was probably the biggest hit I've seen or been a part of. I mean, that I can kind of, but it was like, I don't know what I was thinking. There's a couple of D1 guys on defense. I think I'm gonna outrun them as a 5'10" quarterback. That's not happening.
Hey, you never know. Maybe you could.
Got out to the sideline, try to stick my foot in the ground and go vertical. And when I did, old boy hit me so hard. Broke it all. It was bent, broke. It was everything. And that was like, they were looking like, like round, like, we calling timeout? What are we doing here? It was bad. But that was probably the biggest hit I can kind of remember being a part of. It's a little bit different game now than what it was.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a great story, though. All right, Coach, the final segment of the show here. Bring in the house. 5 rapid-fire questions. Just need your immediate response. Ready?
Okay.
Best vacation spot in South Carolina?
Best, I'd say Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's the color of your toothbrush?
Green.
Green.
All green around here.
Favorite sport to watch other than football?
I enjoy watching some golf. Being a former golfer, I enjoy watching some golf.
The Masters being in the fall this year, did that mess you up?
No, it was actually kind of nice. You know, it was fun to sit down and watch it and see how the course was different than what it normally is in the spring.
Okay. Best NFL defensive back of all time?
I'll say this because he's our current head coach, Tyrone Drakeford.
Okay. Hey, know where your bread's being buttered, brother. That was for sure. Okay. I know you're a Clemson fan. What's the best Clemson uniform combo?
Orange on orange, man. Orange top, orange bottom. Usually means we're playing for a championship. So.
Really? Like, for me, who's admired Clemson from afar, I love when they wear the purples.
Yeah, the purples are nice. I mean, and it's usually a one-time-a-year deal.
Yep.
They're military appreciation, and I've been to some of those games, and those are really cool games to be a part of, the halftime stuff and what they do. Clemson was a former military school,
yep.
So they take great pride in that, and so it's a great look. But orange on orange, man, usually means we're playing for a championship.
Well, hey, you know, being an Ohio guy, you being a Clemson guy, it's going to be interesting. January 1. Who are you predicting?
I don't think it's any surprise. You know, Clemson. I'm predicting Clemson, but I don't know. I don't know much about Ohio State. I honestly don't. I don't follow Big Ten football. I do like Minnesota. I got some family in Minnesota.
Okay.
So I like PJ Fleck. I like PJ Fleck when he was at Western Michigan. Look at him. I guess we could have talked about him as a coaching influence. He's kind of a good look for that. But
was it an Ohio State guy for a while?
Yeah. I know his background. He was a Tressel guy, wasn't he?
Yep. It was there, Coach Tress.
Yeah, and Tressel called him and kind of gave him an opportunity and got in. And his energy, his story, what he does with his philosophy, I think he's got some things going at Minnesota. Tough year for him, but yeah, I like that. But yeah, I think Clemson. I don't know. I like Clemson. I think what they did in the ACC championship game. You kind of look at it and go, hey, look, if that same team shows up, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them.
Right. I mean, they looked for real.
Gowski is really good. You know, that 47 inside in that defense is really good, and he's healthy and playing. I like their chances.
My only hope is the Buckeyes can get up early before that safety comes back in the game, because that kid is a difference maker.
He is, and you can tell he's a difference maker when he made the hit and they did the replay and stuff. You saw Venables fall down,
right? Because he knew.
Like, uh-oh.
Hey, Coach, this has been a blast. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes,
look forward to seeing what happens to you guys next fall. So thanks,
sir.
Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Gamewreckers and Slobberknockers, and we'll catch you next time.